It's lovely to be here this afternoon with Karen Stacey from DCM. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm looking forward to the weekend, but having a good week so far, thank you. It's been quite a quiet one though, hasn't it?
It has. I guess it's still holiday season. We went away in July actually this year, so it feels odd coming back and sort of working the whole of August. But it's no. I think another couple of weeks and we'll all be back into the Q4. Getting the end of the year over and done with.
Does it affect your holiday planning, having the summer blockbuster time period, or do you have to plan around that, or can you go when you fancy it?
Yeah, no, it's fine actually. We've spent a lot of time sort of automating our systems. So once we know who's coming in, who's booked in, how we get the ads to the cinema is all automated now, so it's so much quicker. And, so it doesn't affect people's holiday.
Looking at the big stories of the week, I mean, something that we've noticed is we've got Marks and Spencer's and Sainsburys that have been changing to different accounts. Why do you think they're doing that? What's motivating that?
Do you know, especially Sainsburys, I was really surprised.
Yeah?
Really surprised, because I think, that's a long relationship, 35 years. I think the cat stuff they did for Sainsbury's over Christmas was amazing.
Really good.
Mog's a big, she's a big hero in our house. The year before, they'd gone back to real storytelling for Sainsbury's, which I love because it's back to sort of proper brand advertising. So who knows? I guess we'll see when Widens, I'm sure, will come up with something that will make sense for everybody. And on Marks and Spencer's, again, 16-year relationship.
And the Christmas ads, again, are quite memorable, aren't they? They've been doing some good stuff.
Yeah, the Christmas ads are memorable. So, I mean, the only thing I thought, which they may have gone down an angle, I think there's lots of conversations around how you take one idea and then how you make it live in the right place at the right time in the right way. You can't just cut and paste a TV ad onto mobile.
Yeah.
Or
we are talking about TV ads here, aren't we, as well?
Yeah, so unless there's more conversations around that and the new agencies gave them more ideas about how they could make an initial idea run,
Yeah.
because that seems to be, I guess, the question for people now.
Another story this week has been that Snapchat, talking about multi-platform, is growing and growing, not set to stop growing anytime soon, according to eMarketer stats. Do you think that Snapchat is as great as everyone else seems to think?
I think my view on Snapchat is probably driven by my 12-year-old daughter, who's probably the right audience. And interestingly, she is very adept at using different social media platforms for different conversations. Yeah. And she's really clear that you use Snapchat when you want to tell just a few of your friends something really quickly. And then it's gone. Used Instagram if you want to post something that's a bit more about you, but it's going to everybody, and it stays up there for a long time. And she's quite happy to swap between the two. So the fact that also Instagram now are doing what Snapchat do, she's just...
As are Facebook to some extent.
Exactly. She doesn't use Facebook at all, interestingly.
Oh, really?
She's quite happy to do both. I guess me, from a older business point of view, you can see what Instagram are doing because you would do the same. Businesses are built out of stealing and building from other people and from expanding their offering. And you want, we'd all like a little walled garden for our audience, so they stayed with us all the time. But I think in reality, it's amazing how adept people are at navigating from one to the other and using it when they need... they understand the different points. And I suppose the analogy is that, you don't go to one restaurant and expect them to serve all kinds of food. You're quite happy to go to your Thai or your Indian or your...
McDonald's.
Yeah.
You want it fast?
Anyone. So it'd be interesting to see. I guess what Snapchat have got to do now is move their offering on again.
Yeah.
To keep that audience with them.
So that they don't migrate to the places that are offering similar things.
Exactly.
We were quite shocked reading about this US swimmer. It's called Lochte, I think. Have you seen about him?
Yeah.
And how he kind of has gone from being this medalist, very honoured, to apparently making up perhaps some details to a story, embellishing the facts, which has kind of seen him fall from grace somewhat. But then he's gone back. He's on Dancing on Ice now, supposedly. Well, Dancing with the Stars. So, I mean, is this rebranding, do you think, that he's doing that? Is it the way to go?
I think it's really interesting on this situation, because I guess in my head I was thinking, if he was a 14-year-old boy and he'd gone and got drunk with his friends and then he'd misbehaved in his petrol station, which he did, and then he came home and lied about it, I'm not sure that most parents wouldn't ground him for quite a few months before allowing him to go and play with his, with his football team that he really wants to play with. So I think it's a bit soon. However, I do think rebranding, and stars do it all the time, is really understandable. And there's different ways of doing it. And in fact, we were talking here earlier, and I think the best rebrand, if I think about a person or a family that I've seen in the past 20 years, is the royal family. So if you think about the royal family, when Diana was killed, they were rock bottom.
Yeah.
Absolutely rock bottom.
I mean, even before that, the family weren't that popular, were they?
No, they'd really gone unpopular. So if you think about what's happened in the last 5 to 10 years, they've sort of consolidated. They've focused on who they think should be their emblem and who they should think they'd be their lead. They've picked out William and Harry. William then marries a beautiful girl and a commoner, which they let happen. So therefore they're one of the people. And if you think about all those also-rans that used to be around are no longer in the limelight. All their focus is on the people they know will win over and make that brand better again. And I have to say, hats off to the royal family. I think they've done it really, really well.
That's an interesting perspective on that. Another British icon, we might say, who has been voted the second best UK sitcom, I see, by the Radio Times, would be David Brent in The Office. Brent is back in the cinemas.
Indeed.
Number 3 in the UK box office, I believe.
Yeah, number 3 in the box office.
Do you think that, these days people are saying they want to work in TV in some ways because it offers them the opportunity to tell a story across a season as opposed to in a movie, but obviously they're moving into cinema. Do you think that TV moving into cinema is the way to go, or do you think that it's the opposite, that cinema should move to TV?
I think it's about the story you want to tell. And I think that it's like a super Christmas special.
Yeah.
We actually did a DCM Tuesday. We do a film club every month, and it was absolutely packed for David Brent. I mean,
And what was the opinion?
All good.
Yeah.
And I have to say, he seems to be a bit Marmite. So you love him or you don't.
Yes, I've seen some people who have said they're just not going to see the film, but those who've seen it seem to like it.
Exactly. So I guess what we've seen over the last few years, especially on film, is the success of the sort of sequels and the brands. So one of the biggest surprises last year was Jurassic World.
Yeah.
So everyone thought, 20 years on, is it going to work? But it did 3 times the admissions that we thought it was going to do. So we thought it would do about 15 million in the box office, and it did 45. I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. So there's this real sort of nostalgia, I think, that we have around telling that same story, but in a new modern way. And Star Wars.
You're leading me in, though. I have to talk about my pet project of the last 6 months or something, which is Ghostbusters, and where you stand on that, because obviously some people said they rebranded that really badly, and some people have said it's really good. So, what do you think about that?
I just think, personally, it wasn't for me. I think they probably took it just a bit too far. I like the idea of the all-female cast. So that's a sort of a different spin.
They were hoping for a Jurassic World kind of response, though, weren't they?
It just wasn't as good a film, and I guess that's going to happen sometimes. I mean, the big one I am hoping will be very funny is Bridget Jones Has a Baby.
Yes.
So
It seems very different from the plot to the book to me. It seems like a different kind of...
I guess that's a Hollywood interpretation. So we've got a couple coming up on that female base. The Girl on the Train as well, which would be interesting because it's obviously based in New York and not in London.
Right.
So, but I think that would be really good. And obviously early on in the year, talking about TV going on to films, we had Ab Fab.
Yes. And did you enjoy that?
I loved it.
Yes, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely should. It does what it should do, which makes you laugh. And I think that's the great thing about going to the cinema, which I think has more than anything else, is everyone I know who goes, especially if you're having a bit of a tough time, or you've got some really boring stuff on, like you've just moved house and you've got all that stuff, clogging up your mind. It's probably the one thing that you go and for the next 2 hours you talk about the movie.
Hopefully not during the film, though.
Yeah, no.
Everybody keep quiet during the film. Anyway, it's lovely to meet you and have a great weekend.
And you.